Hello there, everybody, and welcome to Harrah's Hoosier Park in the Dan Patch Studio, as once again we take another step on the road to the Derby Challenge. Jacob Reinheimer and Michael Chamberlain here in the Dan Patch Studio. And Jacob, last week we both ran third, so you each get 1 point, so you're sitting at 7, and I have 1. But hoping to fix that this week with the Grade 2 Risen Star at the fairgrounds, as they are going to go 1.125 miles. Remember, these fairgrounds races, they make them a little longer as they go along, and then the Louisiana Derby is 1.316 miles. But, of course, named for the great Louisiana Risen Star, who probably should have won the Triple Crown in '88, but Winning Colors just escaped on the Derby and got out there to that big lead and couldn't be caught. And Risen Star had a troubled trip that day, too, but then won the Preakness and the Belmont very emphatically. Risen Star, of course, an offspring of Secretariat, who, he was pretty good.
He was okay. I think I remember hearing a few things about him. He seemed to be okay, but a really fun field. I enjoy these Louisiana prep races. You get nice full fields, very competitive racing, and great for a contest like this with a number of different directions you can go.
Right. It's a big field of 13 as we are, again, going 1.125 miles. So I don't think that the horses on the outside are necessarily going to be in that bad a position, because they do have the ability to maybe get down to the inside a little bit more as that little bit longer run into the first turn will allow.
Well, and we've seen horses come from off the pace at fairgrounds on these prep races. Of course, Sierra Leone last year winning out there, and then Disco Time earlier on the Lecomte. He came from way out of it with a big move around the last turn. So I think it's a very fair track at fairgrounds, and like I said, I don't think anyone's out of it based on post position.
And Disco Time, speaking of him, I saw something today. He is not in this race as one of the 13 in the field, and he also hasn't been on the work tab. So I don't know if Disco Time is going to be continuing along, but if he does come back for the Louisiana Derby, that would be good. But the horse he beat in there, I should say, is Built, who is part of this field. 5-1 third choice, as the second choice is number 2, Jonathan's Way, 4-1, and the big favorite is number 4, East Avenue, 9-5, winner of the Breeders' Futurity at Keeneland last fall, before finishing 9th as the betting favorite in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, and that came to as a result of a bad start.
Yeah, I'm really not going to hold that effort against him. He stumbled really badly at the start, took himself out of it because this horse is a speedster. He's shown in his first 2 career starts. He likes to be on the front end, and when he gets that, he has been very, very impressive, winning by 8 lengths and 5 1/4 lengths in those first 2 starts. So I'm going to draw a line through the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. This is his first start since that Breeders' Cup Juvenile, which is the concern, but I'm going to trust Godolphin Racing here, the homebred for Godolphin, and I like his ceiling, I think, the most out of any horse in this race.
The breeding is something else. When you got Medaglia d'Oro is the sire, and this one is out of a Ghost Zapper mare. So nothing really to sneeze at as far as that's concerned. As we put the picks up on the screen now to take a look at this race, Jacob, in fact, you are picking East Avenue, the 9-5 favorite to win.
Yeah, as I said, it's all about the ceiling here. Even coming off the layoff, I do think, this horse is the morning line favorite for good reason. And I think if he gets off to a good start and gets command, we've seen some of these fairgrounds races get away with some cheap fractions early, and I think he can maybe get away from there. So I am going to trust him. Gets Tyler Gaffalione back aboard, who was aboard for his last 2 starts, that win in the Breeders' Futurity at Keeneland and then Breeders' Cup Juvenile as well. So I like that he's back aboard here for trainer Brendan Welsh. I'm going to go with the big favorite.
And the last work, because we mentioned that this is the first start of 2025 for this 3-year-old colt, is the last work February 8th at the fairgrounds, 5 furlongs in 1 minute and 2/5. I have East Avenue third. I elected to go with the 2, Jonathan's Way, here for trainer Philip Bauer by Vekoma, who is one of the many horses that I have picked in the Derby that have not won the Derby. But I still was very high on him that day. I thought that he had a pretty good chance in that race. This horse was second in the Kentucky Jockey Club back on November 30th at Churchill Downs at this mile and a 16th distance. Also was the winner of the Grade 3 Iroquois at Churchill Downs, a 1-turn mile. So has a very good record at the home of the Derby. Now just need to get to the Derby with Jonathan's Way. In between that, did run 7th in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile during the Breeders' Cup back there on November the 1st. Again, I like the fact that this horse has had some success at Churchill Downs, which is a very similar track to the fairgrounds as far as the way the track is situated. So I do like that. This horse also broke the maiden at Saratoga, which should not be overlooked. overlooked back in mid-August. A bullet work on February 1st, and on February 8th went a half mile in 47-4. And the other thing I like about Jonathan's Way, especially, you notice the past performances, there's a little versatility here because this horse won gate to wire in the Iroquois, which is a one-turn mile at Churchill Downs. And then the two subsequent starts was kind of mid-pack all the way in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. So, as you're tossing the Juvenile out for East Avenue, I'm kind of going to overlook that one too. But then came back in the Kentucky Jockey Club at Churchill at a mile and a 16th. Sat mid-pack again, but came forward and ended up finishing second behind First Resort as a less than even money favorite in that race. So the inside draw here, I think, is going to be fine for the two Jonathan's Way, and that is my top selection in the Risen Star.
Yeah, interesting. Our top selections both come from that Breeders' Cup Juvenile. I put Jonathan's Way third on my ticket. The horse I put second is a horse who is making his stakes debut for trainer Todd Pletcher, that being the 3 Vassimo. Undefeated 2 for 2, a win at Gulfstream Park and a win at Tampa Bay Downs, each at a distance of a mile. I do like the breeding on this horse, though. A son of Nyquist out of a pulpit mare for trainer Todd Pletcher. First time we're seeing Pletcher on the road to the Derby to this point in the contest races. And this is another one all about the upside for me. I like this inside starting position. He stalked just off the pace in both of these starts, stretching out here to a mile and an eighth, but I think he's got the pedigree to be able to do so. And you're getting 8-1 on the morning line on trainer Todd Pletcher. I'll take that all day long.
My second pick is the 9 Built, who you selected in the Lecomte and did not actually come back with on this particular race. We'll get your thoughts on that in a second. As I do say, again, by hard spun, which I have said time and time again I love, out of a Curlin mare, was second in the Lecomte on a sloppy track that he did not like and still managed to run second there, finishing behind Disco Time, had won the previous 2, and then, ironically enough, was third, or moved up to third, in the race that East Avenue won at Ellis Park to break the maiden going back to the end of August. So Built gets Luis Saez aboard for Wayne Catalano here. The 2 good races at the fairgrounds, having won the Gun Runner and then second in the Lecomte over the sloppy track. Third start off the layoff, and you left this one off the board.
I did. You go back to that Lecomte. I got to be honest, I was watching the race all the way around. I thought I was in a good position up the backstretch with Built, and then around the far turn, I kind of quit watching because he was starting to gap out of it. And then I heard the track announcer say, well, there's Built still coming back between horses, and I could not believe it. I thought he was done, and he kept fighting. I thought he just got a really nice trip advantage over Disco Time and didn't quite take advantage of it. You mentioned the sloppy track. We've seen that a lot at fairgrounds with these Derby preps, with the weather you're going to get at New Orleans this time of year. So I had mixed feelings on that Derby prep with the Lecomte for Built for that reason. Just thought I was going to go elsewhere because I couldn't completely talk myself back into him.
You've got a nice 20-1 shot in the 4th spot.
Yeah, looking for a price, I'm going to go with Giacoso. This horse, a very, very interesting horse because 4 of his 6 career starts are actually on the turf, including his last 2 coming into this. He was 6th in the Bourbon at Keeneland last October, and then raced at Churchill Downs, won his last out back at the end of November on the turf course out there, but has raced on the dirt against Stakes Company, finished a very good third, I thought, behind Jonathan's Way in the Iroquois. So coming back to the dirt, off a little bit of a layoff. I'm going to take a shot, just looking for a nice price, 20-1 on the morning line. I think this horse has some nice potential.
I'm using the horse on the outside as my long shot, the 13 Magnitude. Ben Curtis riding for trainer Steve Asmussen. This one by Not This Time out of a Bernardini mare. Not This Time has become really a long way as a very strong sire the last couple of years. This one was second to Built in the Gun Runner, was 6th in that Grade 3 Lecomte last time out. Prior to that, had won at Churchill at a mile and a 16th in an optional claiming race, and also was in the Iroquois going back to that race that Jonathan's Way won. Finished 7th in there, kind of pressed the winner and then just kind of faded out of it. The outside post could be a little bit of an issue for this horse since this one does like to be a little more forwardly placed. But if they can work out some kind of a trip, and Ben Curtis is a very strong rider down there Louisiana way, so I think the 13 Magnitude at 12-1 is the one I'm going to include as a little bit of a long shot.
And there are a lot of different opportunities for a price underneath because really once you get beyond those top 2 that we selected for our top selections, you get a lot of 20, 30-1s on the morning line. So I think if you're looking at trifecta, superfecta range, a lot of different ways you could go.
And it's not like long shots don't come in at the fairgrounds. Yes. We say that happened quite often because of those big fields, big bulky fields. miles, and sometimes a lot of stuff can happen in those kind of races. We are, again, on the road to the Derby. Want to remind everyone to either be here at Harrah's Hoosier Park or at one of our satellite sites in downtown Indianapolis or up in New Haven, as we will be running the contest again through the trackside kiosks. And, of course, that is the way to get into your Road to the Derby Challenge selections. So, looking for another big race this coming week, a 14-race card. Yep. At the fairgrounds, by the way. Now, one of those races is a 5-horse race, which honestly, I don't know why they included that on the card, but, they could have had a 13-race card, but they're going to go for the full 2 touchdowns, 14-race program at the fairgrounds coming up on Saturday, and I will have a tip sheet available on track for that as well. So as we take this step on the road to the Derby, we will see what happens down there in New Orleans as they continue to get closer and closer to the Louisiana Derby, another step on the road to the Kentucky Derby. So for Jacob Reinheimer, I'm Michael Chamberlain, wishing the best of luck to you all.